Order, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sarah, can you do roll call, please?
President Bucher,
Here.
Trustee Barheit,
Here.
Trustee Brooks,
Present.
Trustee Polly,
Here.
Trustee Faber,
Here.
Trustee Hopkins,
Here.
and Trustee Gant.
Here.
Thank you.
Great. Did we meet open meeting compliance?
Yes, agendas were posted here at Village Hall and online on Friday, May 2nd.
Right. Trustees, do I have approval of the agenda sequence?
Madam President, I'd like to move item 12.2 up to just before item 8.
Does anyone else have a problem with that? No? Okay. All right, we will move into president's comments. The first thing I'll ask is that everybody silence their phones, please. The first thing that I want to say, we are not discussing wakeboarding today. I know many of you are here for that. Yes, we did have that as a committee of the whole meeting. We will be having another public meeting either on a Saturday or during the night, and it will be solely on that subject. At that meeting, we will have the same presenter here that came during our committee of the whole, and we will also offer the floor to opposing points of view before we discuss it as a board. So that is still to be determined. In the future, we have the attorney doing some research on that topic before we're even ready to discuss that as a board. So that will probably be quite a while away, and it will be posted for a long time so that it gives everyone adequate notice before we have that meeting. The second thing I would like to say is, in the continued spirit of open and honest dialogue between the Salem Lakes Village government and our residents, I want to take this opportunity to address a walking path near the Village Hall. The Village of Salem Lakes has self-reported the incident to the Wisconsin DNR regarding the disturbance of land surrounding a pond on village property. Subsequently, the DNR has visited the site multiple times. The property in question is zoned C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy, which is generally assigned to natural or man-made resource areas, which may include ponds, lakes, wetlands, drainage areas, retention and detention areas, and flood zones. I am aware that many in our community have made statements, including on social media, that have been rife with speculation about the scope and extent of the land disturbance and whether all aspects fall under the DNR or state law. It is my hope that residents maintain an open mind. We are hopeful that the DNR will issue a prompt response and quick resolution once all the facts are learned. Once we hear from DNR officials, the village will issue another statement regarding the findings and any action that may be taken. To the extent that any comment is offered tonight on this subject, please take into account these considerations and keep your comments respectful, non-repetitive, and avoid rude and defamatory comments. Be mindful that we are also here to conduct public business on several important agenda matters. I am confident that even when our community faces any issue, whether current or future challenges, on tonight's agenda or in the future, everyone can work together to be civil and decent in problem solving. Thank you for your patience and understanding. With that, we'll move into public comments. You'll be asked to come forth, say your name and address for the record. You are to address the board. There will be no back and forth discussions, and we have a strict 3-minute limit. Mr. Woodkey, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
James Woodkey, 22416 88th Street, Salem, Wisconsin. Got 2 points basically. One, I was gonna say this to the EDC, but since there was no meeting today, didn't get that chance. But I think maybe the focus should be on more about economic development and, whether that's small business, and having a small business weekend or promoting small business in town, medium business, whether it's manufacturing or maybe retail, which maybe could be what people have said to me would, they'd love to have like an Aldi's. They like to have a grocery store in the village. And then also large business. And you know what? Maybe there is a place for large businesses in our community. Maybe we wouldn't mind their income if we chose and thought about what we wanted to try and do, but promoting business and development, and make it appealing to those people who would want to come to our village. I think that would be a great place to start. The next topic would be when things blow up on social media about things that are going on in our community. And Madam President, you just addressed one of those things. But also with, let's just say, the Paddock Lake deal with their fire, with what they're going to want to do with the fire department. I know one thing, that education and information are important. And if you don't take the opportunity to shoot down the rumors will continue and they will get crazier and nuttier. It doesn't mean you have to tell them, say everything, but give people the information. You say, we just don't know what's going on with that yet. Say that, because that would keep a lot of the rumors down and keep a lot of problems from happening. And it's just a matter of speaking the truth. And for that, you have to say something. You can't remain silent and hope it'll disappear. So hopefully that could be addressed, whether it's from the board, the president, wherever it has to come from, but it starts with you folks. You're leading the community. So you need to address things when they're going south, I'll put it. And it's just not because of bad information. People don't have the information. They don't come to almost every single meeting. A lot of people don't, and you guys know that. So you have to educate people when something goes bad. So thank you.
Kim Roper, 12428 250th Avenue, Trevor, Wisconsin. And thank you, Rita, for your comment that you just made. I appreciate that. I'm here to tell the story of what I refer to as Pond Gate. And I can actually tell all of you the truth because I happened to be on the park board at the time the property was donated. I happened to be at the meeting in which the executor of the will told us what they wanted the park board to do with the property. So the first thing was, and Billy was there too, was she said, please protect the Savannah oaks. By the way, folks, the oaks are fine. Okay. The other thing she said was, I'd like to see a walking path around the pond. I'd like to see some picnic tables, a bench or two, but she did not want any playground equipment. She wanted to keep it natural and in the environment it is. So now let's move on to today. So we all have heard the rumors. So Miss Cassandra called me knowing that I was the only person on park board who had the time to come here on a Monday morning to take a walk around the pond. She didn't tell me why. She invited me here to take a walk. I came out here. She said, told me what was happening. She said, do you see a problem? I said, well, personally, I didn't. But then I did see a problem. I kept seeing all this landscaping fabric that had gotten dug up, and it struck my curiosity. So I did a little research. In 1937, on the Kenosha County Board, you will see there is no pond. 1963, still no village hall, still no pond. 2004, we have a great big pond and a village hall. So we all now know that it was a man-made lake, which is not controlled by the Corps of Engineering, but yes, DNR does have, rights to deal with this thing. So doing their due diligence because a complaint was filed, yes, the DNR was out here. Doing your due diligence because a complaint had filed, you had to hold a special meeting. When we hold special meetings, I hope my taxpayers realize that that just cost them their tax dollars. I hate to tell you, there's nothing nefarious going on with Pondgate. Thank you.
Wes Jacobs.
My name is Wes Jacobs. I live in Trevor, 11820, 242nd Avenue. I visit this area a lot of times due to the fact there's a lot of nice wildlife and it was really pretty back in the day. It was not too long ago. And the destruction of it to me is just horrendous. It's not satisfying to me at all. What has been said already and what you've said, I can't imagine what the cost is going to be to put it back to what it was supposed to be. There was a comment regarding to the date that this was created. I mean, I grew up here, out here. Back in the day, we used to come out here and have a good time, just enjoying what boys do. I come out here, I got shots of eagles out here. I got shots of ospreys out here. I've got a lot of nice pictures, but I couldn't find any of the pictures like what I have here. They're all up in the air. And I walk around it, it was gorgeous. I'm just totally upset. That's my opinion on it. I would like to leave these here for people to take a look at them. I'll pick them up in a couple of days. You see, I'm a little upset with the whole deal. And I hate to think what the cost is going to be with the lawyers. That's my money. That's my money out there that was used to make this path and messed up the weir. That land out there goes back to 19. I think I saw a drawing of it back for 1913, 19 something in there. There's a wetland there. Goes on up, creeks on out, goes out to the one of the lakes out here. That's all I have to say. Mind if I leave these out here for a week or so?
Oh, you can just come over there. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Elin, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Johan Elin. I live 12052 255 Avenue, down by Rock Lake. I'd like to talk to you, to the board this evening, about protecting our natural wetlands. And I have a story to tell. There's a Trevor homeowner. He has 8 acres of nice land and a nice subdivision, but he did not buy a lakefront property. What this homeowner did was to extend a pier about 100 feet long across property he does not own through wetlands to the waters of Rock Lake. Being a quiet pier that stopped at the water's edge, it did not draw any attention. But after some years, the homeowner reached out to a group that was harvesting weeds on the lake for pay. So he joined them and had them and paid to have his waterfront cleared. Later, that homeowner applied for a separate permit to chemically treat the wetland cattails with glyphosate. That's a Roundup product. Remember that this is not even his property. Concerned residents did the needed research and discovered the ugly truth that the wetlands belong to Salem, having been given to the town by Wilson Runyard. When Salem was notified that their land had an application for chemical treatment, a meeting was held at the village between two citizens, I was one, and the village administrator and head of public works. At this meeting, it was suggested that a land swap was being considered to turn the wetlands over to the homeowner, giving this bad actor frontage on Rock Lake. I was told that the pier running through Salem property had been okayed by handshake. No documentation of this event was offered, and nobody ever admitted to the shady deal. No compensation for the lake access was paid to the town or to the state. Wouldn't we all like that? Wow, what a good deal for him. Waterfront at no expense. Now the village administrator is pushing the land swap, trading valuable, important wetlands to this bad actor and receiving some off-water land of questionable value in exchange. No public meetings, as promised. This is a breach of the public trust. The land was given to the town for the public good. What is going on here? Swapping is not protecting. Village trustees have been sent information about this from concerned citizens, but there has been no response or feedback to the concerned citizens or the general public that this board serves. Major questions? Why is the village administrator pushing this land swap without even public input? Land surveys are already in the works, etc. Why is the board silent when questioned on this? Sensible action by this board would be to terminate the land swap without
Thank
further
you.
expense to the village.
Thank you, Mr. Elam.
Remove the handshake pier at the owner's expense,
Thank you, Mr. Elam.
Thank you, Mr. Elam.
as there are no handshakers. Protect the wetlands of Rock Lake.
Betty
thank-
Brandis, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. No. Okay. Okay, Brian Filiatro,
Brian Fliatro, 2500 Silver Lake Road. I wasn't going to come here and speak tonight, but unfortunately, I seen that a couple of board members made some comments on social media. And being that the board made no comments about this issue, about this wetlands in the back, I thought it was important that the public know that this isn't some made up witch hunt of people that are out to get anybody. This is an area of wetland that covers thousands of feet of area that has been affected in many different ways. Trees have been cut down, fill has been brought in, soil has been overturned. The weirway on the stormwater pond has been destroyed. This is not a minor thing. And my issue is not about the DNR or the Army Corps. That's their world. My issue is, why did the village go into a C1 wetlands to do anything without a permit? People know that you don't do that. C1, C2, you don't do anything without a permit. Wetlands, you don't do anything without a permit. Why did that happen? I would implore the village board to do an internal investigation to find out why that was done. Because I know that if I did this, I'd be looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines, what's out there. And it's not something that should just be brushed off. This isn't a witch hunt. This is a real thing out there. And if people walked out there, I thank that gentleman for taking pictures, because that is astounding what was done back there. So I just would implore the board to do an internal investigation. You can do that and have a DNR investigation at the same time. They're not going to conflict. It's two separate issues. So please take that into consideration. And I also would like to talk about the timeline, how this happened. I got a phone call a few weeks ago from a village official to ask me to look at what was done back there. When I went there, I looked, I was surprised. So I called another village official. They met me out there. They were surprised. A group of us got together the next day, including the village president, and we got together. We all walked it together and we all came to the same conclusion. We called a wetland delineator, asked what is the proper course of action. He said self-reporting, self-report, and then he would do an inquiry in a couple days to minimize the damage to the village. That's what was done. So anybody that's putting this wild speculation out there that people are on a witch hunt and they're trying to, go after people, it's a bunch of BS. This is a real thing that happened and it should be taken seriously. It's not BS. Shouldn't have happened. We need to find that out. That doesn't mean that anybody needs to be fired. It just means we need to have accountability of what happened. Thank you.
Ryan Kozak.
Sorry about my voice. Brian Kozak, 28034 Silver Lake Road. I'm here about the whole wakeboard stuff, so bear a moment. I used to live on Paddock Lake for about 14 years, built out here about 13 years ago. I do everything on the water you can imagine. Wakeboard, surf, fish, bowfish, ski, barefoot, slalom, you name it, I do it all. And you know which one I want to make sure is protected the most? Doesn't matter. It's not my lake. It's all their lakes. We all get to use it. And the important part about it is you guys came in from last week's meeting and were like, we better start an ordinance. And I'm here because of that, because this guy from Last Wilderness Alliance, he lives 400 miles away on their lakes, glacier dugout lakes that are deep all the way up to the shoreline. Those aren't our lakes. And to the point where our president here had said, do we need to worry about undertows? Do we need to worry about Fox River? I mean, great questions, but that shows how uninformed the board is. And I want to welcome you guys to come out to the lake, come on my boat and see what happens and see how these dangerous monster truck wakeboards that weigh 10,000 pounds that really don't weigh 10,000 pounds. Most of the ones that you see on Silver Lake right now, Paddock Lake, are probably under 4 because you can't put those big boats out there. So Ron, thanks for smiling at me, man. When this guy came up here and before he made a decision, did you guys ask any questions of him? Challenge him anyway? Ron, you ran on, you've been known to be afraid or not to be afraid to ask tough questions, right? And I didn't hear one of them. You guys were all like, let's go. I'm getting rocked on my stuff. So the answer to why they do this though, or why he's coming down is because the groups up north, they have their quiet lakes, right? They have this is my lake attitude. There's 1 or 2 boats on those lakes. They did the same thing in the mid 90s. I'm old enough. This is when I was in high school and college, and they wanted to ban jet skis up there. My grandfather had a lake up there. They want to ban jet skis. Why do they want to ban jet skis? The same thing, erosion. They talk about the sediment being disturbed underneath, killing the fish, all of that stuff they said, the dangers of jet skis. How many jet skis are on all of our lakes? There are a ton. Are they a bother? Yeah, they're noisy and loud, but they're not all the time. So he wants to come down. And why is he doing it? Because he knows the DNR is not with him. By the way, you guys appealed to the DNR for this pond gate that's going on. They don't have the DNR support. They don't have the legislative support. So what they're trying to do is form these coalitions of different areas without listening to the residents, the riparian owners, the people that use a lake day in, day out. So in regards to his exaggerations, here's some of the hyperbole that he said. He claimed water skiers were being thrown by waves from a boat's 1,000 feet away. Remember him talking about his friend and his shoulders and the 4 broken ribs, right? So you guys use AI at all, ChatGPT? So I asked ChatGPT how tall a wave would need to be to still be 2 feet high after 1,000 feet. You guys want to know the answer? Depends on how it degrades and so forth. Minimum of 20, maximum of 200. Wave, no recreational wave can do this. But the guy is that the timer?
Yeah.
I'll
thank
see you guys. But hey, before I want to finish, thank you for at least opening up and listening to other stuff, having another meeting and getting input. And I welcome you guys to the lake. Come on out, enjoy it, have a beer. I'll buy. I'm sure some of these other people will too. But let's not listen to someone 400 miles away. Listen to these people that are here, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know the first name. The last name looks like it is Perona, maybe?
My name is Rick Perona, 6331 218th Avenue. I'm also here to talk about wakeboarding. I grew up on Paddock Lake for 20 years. I've been enjoying surfing, skiing, barefooting, everything that Brian just said. There's a lot of chaos on the lake, especially the weekends. I don't think there's enough policing done on Silver Lake, Paddock Lake, all that stuff. You know, there's a lot of errors that people do, wakeboarders, tubers, you name it, fishing boats, all that stuff. There's lots of concerns with lots of different boats. I feel like we're getting picked on because we have wakeboard boats. How do you define a wakeboard boat? With a tower? That pontoon has a tower on it. It's a wake boat. We have pontoons ripping around the lake with 200 horsepower motors on it. Does that do anything to the bottom? I think so. You go on the weekend, there's 40 boats on Paddock Lake. It's like a washing machine. There's not wakeboarders out there skiing. There's not surfers skiing out there. It's tubers and recreational people, which is great. I love seeing it. I love watching people have fun on the lake. So, and then with the ballasts, everyone talks about ballasts. If you're going to get rid of ballasts, are we going to get rid of ballasts on fishing boats? They have the same thing. They bring water in and out of the lake. My boat never leaves Paddock Lake. So I'm going to be penalized for that. I don't think that's fair. So I'm looking forward to this meeting. And just like Brian, if any of you guys want to come out to Paddock Lake, I'll bring you on my boat, show you what it's all about, and you can make the decision from there. Thank you for listening and looking forward to seeing what's going to happen at the next meeting.
Thank you. Mike Hague.
Mike Hague, 28801 Street, Salem. Here on the wakeboard subject, I have a wakeboard boat and I've had it for over 20 years, 25 years. I've been on Center Lake for 30 years and I've not had any problems on the lake with anybody else having a wakeboard. Nobody's complained. The fishing is still the same. I mean, I catch the same kind of fish that you caught 30 years ago. As far as the weight of the boat and difference between my boat and a fishing boat. I mean, a fishing boat can go a lot faster than me. It's got a lot bigger motor and can stir up the bottom a lot worse than I can. So I think we're all out to have fun and we're not here to destroy the land or the water. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn Hague. Alright. Andrew Llewellyn.
Andrew Llewellyn, 6938 246 Avenue, Paddock Lake. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We're also talking about the wakeboarding subject. I'm dittoing what they all say. You know, we all enjoy our time on the lake. Please don't take that away from us just because of 1 or 2 or 10 people's different opinions. Let us have our fun. That's what we live on the lake for. So please consider that. What's the difference between 3,000 pounds of ballast or 15 people on a pontoon boat? Still going to make the same wake. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Brittany Taylor.
Hi, address is 24502 72nd Street, Salem, Wisconsin. I'm also here on the wakeboard issue. I have a little ski boat. I've never gotten thrown over by a wave. And I just want to say, please do not ban wakeboard boats and bow high operations. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make clear, we don't have jurisdiction over Paddock Lake. That is not one of our lakes. Joe Warren.
Joe Warren, 28717 Silver Lake Road. Just going off the wakeboard discussion here, not on Paddock Lake, but on Silver Lake. I think the same as everybody else. We want to make sure that we're doing this the right way, not jumping into rash decisions, making sure we have experts on both sides. And I think the biggest part about this is the education of the lake and how to pull people. If they're trying to ban certain boats, why is it a certain boat? It's really not the boat. It's the driver of the boat or what they're doing with the lake. So you're not to beat a dead horse. We're going to probably hear a bunch of these today because we thought it was a different meeting. So we'll take that up at a later time. But I just feel like, you know, we take this the right way. We listen to the right people and understand both sides of the story. because maybe there's stuff that I'm not aware of, but we've been following this pretty heavy up north because it's been happening in the lakes up north. So we just want to make sure if it comes to a point that I think there's ways that we all can work together where we can educate people. Maybe there's online training you can do, certifications, just like you do when you're a kid and you're not old enough to drive a boat. But if you took the course, you're able to because you learn the ways of the lake. And I don't feel like this is any different. You got to learn the ways of a lake and understand how to use the lake and use it the right way and don't disrupt the lake. So that's what I have to say on that. Appreciate it.
Al Kostrzak.
Al Kostrzak, 27704 Silver Lake Road in Salem. I've only been in this lake area for about 5.5 years. We live on Silver Lake. Prior to that, lived in the Amro area on the Fox River, and I understand at times where there can be some problems between usage of the waterways in Wisconsin, because with the EAA there were often weekends during the EAA where to ski, we had to watch for the airplane that would come in and do a water landing and then take off. We could quick go out, do a round on skiing, and then we'd watch in the air and hear the plane coming in again for another landing, repeatedly going on, but it only lasted for about a year. About a week each year. And we all survived just fine. Everybody was tolerant, happy about that. And I think we need to keep a cool head in making this decision. Certainly I support leaving things as they are. From what I can see in the short time that we've been here, things have gone just fine. So thank you for the time. We look forward to the next meeting.
Thank you. Andy Bizek.
My name's Andy Bizek, 26910 111th Street, Trevor. I am not going to talk about wakeboarding. I was going to bring up the consideration of the referendum for opening up more ATV, UTV routes in the town and connecting the communities. Just going forward, it'd be a great idea. Also, kids are doing it anyways. Better way of policing it and making sure you get better restrictions on it. A little more access for where it can and can't go instead of everybody having a free for all. So thank you for your time. Hopefully it goes through.
Robert Ross.
Robert Ross, 20423 Isola Avenue. I am not a resident. I am a land surveyor hired in behalf of residents about the garage, which I know you've heard about many times before. I'm just here to get some progress on receiving open record requests fulfilled. I sent in open record request last August. Luke Martell was the village attorney. He was working on getting those records for me. Afterwards, he was replaced by village attorney Todd Terry. I sent another open request in March, word for word, same as the one in August. I've received nothing, and I would just like to get those. And it pertains to a permit that was issued for an attached garage addition. The existing garage is 1,200 square feet. After the addition is completed, it'll be 3,450 square feet. There was an inspection made by John Carrier in the summer of 23. He issued a citation for a second driveway being constructed without a permit. That driveway is now approximately 4,500 square feet, still does not have a permit. The property owner is a licensed builder. He uses the property for his construction business, hence the 3,450 square foot garage he wants to build. The village has known about that because they've also issued citations for vehicles being stored on the property, on the outlot across the street, and also storage of construction materials. This has been going on for years. The village issued the permit. That permit was then walked back. The property owner did not have a permit for fill. He's placed approximately 3 feet of fill in his yard, making it, which was one level with my client's yard, to now be 300 or 3 feet taller. And he has approximately 6,750 square feet of additional impervious surface. The runoff is all directed towards their home. And the staff, county and village, a year ago, last May, came in to change the definition, which limits the size of a garage. They were not successful. And the building inspector for the county, which was reviewing the second permit, changed his review from approved to pending. It is still pending, but the permit was issued in July. I keep asking why he has a permit. He still stores construction vehicles in his front yard. He stores construction material in his front yard. And I want the inspection reports. That's my open record request, because I know many have been filed. They check the little box to be notified if an inspection's been made. They've received nothing. So that's it.
Thank you.
Oh, one last thing. I did have a meeting with county and village staff last October. And this garage is a private garage, but staff informed me that a private garage can only be built in a conservancy district, like down by the pond.
Thank you. Dean Hitzman.
My name is Dean Hinsman. I'm at 10103 278th Avenue, Camp Lake. I guess I'm going to talk about two things. Number one, I want to thank the board for doing what I consider to be fair due diligence when it comes to the what occurred over here at the pond. I did have an opportunity to tour it. I was invited. I did contact our zoning, Ben Feeblecorn. I did file an online complaint on behalf of the village as part of their self-reporting. I did speak to the warden that went out there. I did speak to the individual that the warden sent the triage report to, and I believe we're still waiting on her results. Yes, it looks tough right now. But after speaking with all those individuals, they're not as concerned as it's being portrayed. As far as cutting down a bunch of dead buckthorn and dying cottonwoods and whatever, you don't need a permit. That's the fact. I don't believe dirt was added, yet I do believe dirt did find its way into the water. Not good. It is a man-made wetlands, whatever difference that makes, not a natural wetlands. I'm sure in hindsight, better communication could have been used across the board, but that's hindsight now. I don't think there was any personal motive to do that. I think it was done on behalf of the community. Was it done right? No, it wasn't. But the board is doing an excellent job at fact finding, coming to a conclusion, and then reacting to that conclusion. As far as the wakeboard topic, it's really not a wakeboard topic. We keep saying wakeboard, wakeboard. We should really get the messaging correct. We, meaning you guys. It's wake surfing and it's enhanced wake devices. Okay, nobody's, in my opinion, from what I've read, nobody's tinkering around with wakeboarding at all. My son's a wakeboarder. My son-in-law is a wakeboarder. We've been in this area 25 years. My kids are on the Aquanuts. I get it. But I also understand, you know, you have to look at this topic open-minded and see if there is a way to further protect the lakes without taking away from people's use of those lakes. I guess my time's up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I don't know, Ramsey, are we allowed to take another one?
And if she specifically addresses whether or not there's a rule that they have to speak or have to sign up before they may speak, I think that if it is silent in that regard, then it comes down to a matter of being consistent going forward, how we're going to handle this, because this is ultimately a meeting of the Public Board of Trustees, is not a public meeting. And so I think it's within the presiding officer's discretion. Sorry to not make it easy.
That's okay. Sorry, Kevin. You weren't on the list when we took it. No, sorry. Okay, we're gonna move on to 12.2. Status and notice of termination by Paddock Lake of the fire service agreement.
Chief, if I could ask you to hold up just 1 second so people can leave without.
Make it quick comments.
But I can understand when someone.
I'm just going to state really quickly that I did hand out a memo regarding the fire service agreement at the beginning of the meeting. I handed out about 30 copies. I'm sure many of those just left the room, but if anybody doesn't have one, share with your neighbor, please, if you want more information. Thank you.
Good evening, board. Thanks very much for the time and opportunity to speak. 2 points tonight. First off, status of the department. Department is healthy. Staffing is up. Training is up. Call volume is up. We're continually improving our services through additional staffing, enhancing our relationship with our community partners, and building the culture in the department. I'm pleased to say that things are going well.
Hold 1 second, please. Perfect. Okay, go ahead.
The second issue I'd like to speak to is clarifying some of the information that's been released recently regarding the change of the contractual agreement between Salem Lakes and, excuse me, the village of Paddock Lake. Madam President, with your permission, I'd like to read a prepared statement.
Please.
Roughly 10 points. Please bear with me. It's a little bit lengthy, but I think it addresses some of the concerns that may be out there. I want to provide clarity, correct misinformation, and present the facts surrounding our longstanding relationship with the village of Paddock Lake, as well as their recent decision to transition fire and EMS services to the village of Bristol. What follows are key points that define the depth, professionalism, and fairness of the services Salem Lakes Fire Rescue has provided, and the fiscal impact of that relationship. Number one, we're going to talk about service delivery. Salem Lakes Fire Rescue has provided full service firefighting, paramedic level EMS, fire inspections, public education, and code enforcement within the village of Paddock Lake. Our services include everything from emergency response to ordinance enforcement and fire prevention, with comprehensive operations covering 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Response time seems to be a topic of great concern. Station 2, located a half a mile from Paddock Lake, consistently averages a response time of approximately 3 minutes. This is a critical benchmark in emergency care. Since May 3rd of 2024, roughly a year ago, Station 2 has been staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with paramedic level personnel, ensuring advanced and support coverage around the clock. Full staffing, 24 hours a day, not 12. The transition to full-time coverage was not incidental. It was one of our first and most important strategic objectives set by our new command staff upon assuming leadership. Our commitment was, and it continues to be, to provide the highest standard of care and the fastest possible response to those we serve. Point of reference, claims that Station 2 operates on a limited hours are not only outdated and wholly inaccurate. Staffing and resources. Salem Lakes Fire Rescue provides comprehensive staffing and resources, including all personnel, apparatus, equipment, training, fuel, maintenance, insurance, and administrative overhead required to deliver uninterrupted fire and EMS services. Our department is also deeply committed to regional collaboration. Through establishing mutual aid agreements, we not only ensure that our own readiness, but actively support our neighboring communities during times of critical need. This cooperative approach reflects our shared responsibility and reinforces our strength and broader emergency response network. That's through mutual aid agreement. Cost breakdown. Statistically, Paddock Lake generates approximately 28% of our total call volume, being Salem Lakes Fire Rescue. Their contribution, however, to the department is operating budget was based on an equalized property value, totaling just 15% of the budget, not 28%. This disparity placed the financial burden of the Paddock Lake service needs squarely on the taxpayers of Salem Lakes. The financial model. Under this agreement, Paddock Lake's annual fee was derived from its equalized value ratio, not its actual usage. In 2021, this meant a fee of $241,083 and 44 cents, despite Paddock Lake's significantly higher service demand. In 2025, the contract is again based on a 15% equalized assessed value and not the actual usage. In 2025, the contract for $297,273, 58 cents after a debt service credit of $96,204. With regard to the debt service credit, the village of Paddock Lake receives a substantial credit for prior apparatus purchases. In 2021, that was $66,867. That lowered their annual payment down to $172,216 out of a $1.5 million budget. This further contributed to skewing the cost fairness to our citizens. In 2023, 2024, and 2025, they also received credits of $96,204 each year, totaling $288,612 toward the heavy rescue truck that was purchased. It should be noted that at no point during this negotiation process did the village of Salem Lakes receive a formal counteroffer or proposals for revisions to the existing service agreement at any time. Transparency and reporting. Salem Lakes Fire Rescue continues to provide monthly reports and has offered on multiple times to meet with the Village of Paddock Lake Board, of which we've been denied, and the opportunity was not invited. We have also offered full transparency into operations, including code compliance, inspections, and fire prevention outcomes. The contractual compliance. We met and exceeded all obligations outlined in the intergovernmental agreement, provided services by, per Wisconsin statutes, maintaining enforcement responsibilities and handling all operational risks and liability. And that's been throughout the entire contract. Clarifying public misreporting. Articles including recent coverage by our friends from west of the eye inaccurately and incorrectly suggested Station 2 was not a full-time station. This is not accurate. As stated before, we've been running Station 2 24/7 since May 3rd of last year. Very proud of that accomplishment. Took a lot of work and a lot of effort, and we completed that. Salem Lakes Fire Rescue delivered exceptional cost-efficient service.
The contract financially favored Paddock Lake, resulting in Salem Lake's residents and taxpayers unfairly absorbing and subsidizing the main cost required to sustain this level of service. Some recent examples. Recent incidents in our community serve as a powerful example of Salem Lake's rescue commitment to rapid, high-quality emergency care. In particular, a West Ostia Central High School student was struck by a car recently. It was very noted by a lot of folks. Our crews responded immediately. We delivered critical on-scene care and ensured the patient was safely transported for further treatment. In another case at the Quick Trip, a patient was found in their car in cardiac arrest and was revived through swift intervention and advanced life support measures performed by our paramedic team. In the Hooker Lake area, most recently, a patient suffering from a case of severe sepsis that progressed into cardiac arrest was successfully resuscitated due to the quick arrival, clinical expertise, and coordinated care delivered by our responders. These are not isolated victories. They represent the very essence of our mission. That mission is to protect life through readiness, professionalism, and exceptional care. These outcomes were made possible by strategic staffing, 24/7, advanced life support coverage, and a deep commitment to operational excellence through our service area. The decision to transition services appears to have been driven primarily by financial considerations. Whether this change will result in improved quality care remains to be seen. But we stand by our performance, our professionalism, and our commitment to safety. We want to thank the people that we serve throughout all the communities. I want to thank this board and our administration for the continued support. That's the end of my statement.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to the trustees if you have any comments or questions.
So Chief, we never got any formal response when we sent out to Paddock Lake the initial quote. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
So the only thing that we knew of was an email that came in last Monday that from the village president of Paddock Lake that they were terminating services with the village of Salem Lakes.
That's correct. And then whatever else you read in the newspaper. Or
I will
West-
clarify. They did send an email that they received it, but that was, yes, but that was it.
But no, no opportunity for rebuttal.
Correct.
Chief, you did a great job. Keep it going.
I read to my son a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other? Yeah. Did you want something?
Well, I was just going to say something that you really take away from what our chief just said. They're using 28% of our resources and only paying for 15%. And prior to that arrangement, it was even less. And we've been working on trying to get parity with what our citizens pay to support this. So it's unfortunate, in my opinion, that we didn't get the response to negotiate. But good luck to them.
Okay. We will go on to number 8, presentations, petitions, communications, discussion and possible action on the following. 8.1, public safety update by trustee Hopkins.
Madam President, I just want to share with you, the board, and the village residents some of our staffing. In 2024, we had 39 part-time total, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong here. We lost 7 with an ending total in 2024 of 32. In 2025, we started with 32, we gained 16, and we're at 48. Also, on the part of full-time, in 2024, we had 15, we lost 7. And the losses, their decision included, 1 decided to go part-time, 1 left because of educational challenges, 1 left for an opportunity on Bristol, one left for an opportunity with Pleasant Prairie, one left with an opportunity to become an RN, one self-terminated, and Pete, you're gonna like this one left to become a plumber. Okay? I don't know if that's better or worse. Yeah, in 2025, we have 15. We lost 3 to date. Those 3 include 2 that went on to better opportunities, which we've always known. We cannot pay the salaries of some of the communities around us, such as Kenosha, Pleasant Prairie, Gurnee, even Crystal Lake and Greenfield. And 1 left to open a winery. Those are the 3 losses we've had year to date.
Okay, thank you. 8.2, sorry, School Resource Officers Initiative by the Schools, presentation by Captain Klinkhammer and Trustee Hopkins.
So, Madam President, board members and residents, we have a resident, and he was here earlier, and I think he may have left. He sparked an interest with a comment that he wanted to do, which was to put school resource officers into the grade schools. And the model he was using was each taxpayer in that school district would fund the bill entirely. And it was based kind of on what the high schools do today, Central and Wilmot. But that struck a chord, and I started talking with some others, Captain Klinghammer, Lieutenant Gilly, to be honest with you. And one of the things that I proposed, and I mentioned to our president as well as our administrator, is the high schools pay for 119 days of service by that school resource officer, that deputy. The remainder of his time, he goes back into the jail system where he transports back and forth. Okay. So I started toying with that idea. If the schools, Salem, Riverview, and Trevor Wilmot, were to take on those 119 days themselves, could we, the village, afford approximately $44,000 per deputy per year, and then go round the clock service during the summer months, 3 months out of a year? That is what we're trying to work out with the schools today. Trevor Wilmot was a hard no. Their board, their administrator want no part of it. Salem Lakes has shown a very positive motion to go in that direction, bringing on a school resource officer. Riverview, we're still in discussions with. None of this is finalized yet. Captain Klinkhammer is here tonight to kind of give you the down and dirty of what an SRO officer would look like in the grade school, not in the high school.
Okay. Can everyone hear me? Is it on?
Yeah.
All right. So, the sheriff's office has had school resource officers full-time in both high schools since 1999. And I was the first school resource officer at Central High School. Our school resource officers, when they get assigned to that position, go through national training through the National Associations of School Resource Officers. So right now we're currently in both high schools. Both of those deputies are very busy handling what you can imagine happens in the high schools. In the past, the thought was, what do we need a school cop out here in the county? And some of us agreed with it. But when I got in the school, they definitely utilized those deputies to their advantage. So there's a difference between how a high school SRO who's dealing with teenager problems handles things versus a K-8 school resource officer. So a lot of what a K-8 school resource officer, I mean, believe me, we do have calls for service at all 3 of those schools. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but we are consistently there, predominantly at Salem, because I don't know if any of you are aware, Salem is the biggest K-8, I believe, in the state when it comes to students. So there are a lot of kids there and a lot of a lot of problems that come into the school that unfortunately they have to call us to deal with. So some of those issues that the deputy that's assigned there would deal with, it's a multifaceted model. So the deputy is there. We pick that deputy based on what we think their ability to deal with kids. We don't put, like I've said at the grade school meetings, and there was some question on how we pick that deputy. We pick that deputy. We don't take the big rough, gruff SWAT cop and put him in the school. We put somebody that has a good grasp of community relations, knows how to talk to people and deal with the children and help them. And that has to be a core of what they've demonstrated throughout their whole career. So some of the tasks that they would be assigned to do is education. So they can go into classrooms and educate the kids on various topics. In the high schools, we did the driver, when they had driver's ed, I got 2 days during the driver's ed class to tell kids what my experiences were on the road. We have in the grade schools, that can be things like dealing with strangers, dealing with internet, how to keep yourself safe, how to keep yourself safe when you're walking on the road, those kind of things. The officer or the deputy would also assist the school with emergency planning and emergency management. Helping the administration determine what the proper response to an active shooter or a major incident in the school is, and how they can deal with that better, and to make that plan available. And then we have that back and forth between the school administration and our administration. That currently is pretty open dialogue. We recently started a school safety group in the sheriff's office. So we've really opened up our communication, and it's really helped build that bridge between us and the schools. The officer or the deputy becomes a community liaison. So I can't tell you how many times when I was in the school, the parents would come to the school to talk about something that had nothing to do with the school because they knew I was there and they knew me. So there's that community policing aspect as well. Basically, that officer is also there if something happens. You have a sworn law enforcement officer with a vest and a gun that can hopefully put an end to something should it come to that school. And it's a great program. Our school cops that we currently have love their jobs, and the schools that we have our deputies in love the program. So when Mr. Hopkins came up with possibly taking that 3 months of summer and adding deputies to Salem, that was a great idea. And if we can swing that, it would give the village more coverage in the summer and give the schools that needed security in the school year. Any questions?
Just Salem and Jasper for a resource officer, or
Well,
couldn't hear you very loud.
I think Salem's very positive.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the money. Getting the funding to have that officer in the.
And
that
what did you
deputy
say
in the
about
school.
Trevor and then, So
Riverview?
Trevor Wilmont sent me a response via email from their administrator, and they're a hard no. They don't want any part of it. Okay. Riverview, we're in discussion with, as we are still with Salem. None of this is a done deal yet.
Yeah.
Again, funding is going to be the bigger piece for the grade schools to come up with. Our cost share based on today's model would be approximately $44,000 for the 3 months per officer. All right, but that allows us to go forward with round the clock coverage
During the
in the
summer.
village. Yep, in the summer. I'm sorry, in the summer. And let's face it, given today's environment, We've seen what happened in Madison. We've seen what happened or could have happened in Kenosha. It's here, unfortunately, and it is in the grade schools. And it may not be a shooter, but drugs for sure are there. Vaping is there. And this whole piece that Captain Klinkhammer mentioned about the internet, I too often see some of the calls that they go on about pictures that a boyfriend gone sour has now posted up on the internet. And how do you deal with that? So these are the kind of topics that I see they would deal with at the grade school level, let alone working with the kids so the kids can see that they're Mr. Friendly and not the bad guy.
I'm really excited to hear that this is happening, having been a public school teacher for some time. I saw the connections that were made between elementary schools and police officers because oftentimes they're frightened. And so it's really a nice option for elementary school teachers to have another adult that isn't their teacher or principal to be able to talk to on site at the schools about things or just understanding who and what policemen are.
Yeah, during my time at Central, I still have kids come up to me and say, you know, thanks for this or thanks for that. And those connections that were made, are lifelong, career-long connections. And if you can start, with the younger kids, that building that trust factor, it's definitely a benefit. The sheriff, was the school resource officer at Wilmot for 4 years. He's all on board with this if we can get it funded, and we'll hire the deputies to do it.
Did Trevor Wilmot administrator bring it to their board or did they, so that it was a board decision?
Yes. I know one of the board members there was upset with it, but yes, it was a board decision that they pulled the plug.
And you're talking about two individuals, one for each school, that'd be,
One for each school currently.
so then totally it'd be $88,000.
Correct.
Okay, but then we have full-time coverage in the summertime for 3 months when school's out.
Correct. That's where these two deputies would be assigned. And working with the sheriff's department, we could either have one or two on second or third and vice versa. But we'd be taking their lead on that based on the numbers and the heat charts that we see.
The high school deputies in the summer, they don't only do transports, they help out wherever they're needed. They do a lot of our community relations stuff that happens during the summer. The cops and kids camp, that's at Salvation Army in the summer. So we have two bodies, two people that know how to talk to, know the community relation aspect. We can put them out where they're needed.
And many of our lake districts now use the sheriff's department for their water patrol.
Correct.
I think it's excellent. When I was a kid, the cops are all good guys. Today, there's publicity that makes children afraid of authority and police officers. And I think that relationship is just excellent.
Yeah, and it's not only the relationship with the kids, it's a relationship with the parents.
Yep.
Because they see them they go to events, they're there. Not as a scary cop presence, as a member of that school community.
And Chris Sarzaneski, you're the one who sent the email to us, but in a different way to pay for it. But you planted that seed and I thank you for that.
Is that allowed? He's not technically on the agenda. I don't know.
Are we on? Sorry, I'm working on your. We're on
other
the
matters
agenda.
Chris would like to talk on the public safety because the idea came from him. So he would like to. Okay, go ahead, Chris. You want to come up first?
All
State
good.
your, thank
Thank
you.
you.
State your name and
Thank
address
you.
for the record, of course.
Chris Krasnecki, 25124 83rd Street, Salem. Years ago, many years ago, some of us may remember, to have a street light in your neighborhood, you had to pay for it. I can go back to my tax bill, and I did go back to my tax bill to 2005. I've been here since 97. I've been here to 87 in Trevor. I paid about $18 a year on my tax bill for a lighting district. Probably around 2005, 2006, the village stopped assessing that to my individual neighborhood, and they took that on. We have an example where the village put up a street light in Silver Lake not too long ago, and they had to go through all that, and the village pays for all the street lights. Anyways, my thought was Salem Grade School has 5,075 taxing parcels that pay into that district. If you divide the $90,000 cost for that deputy, that's $18 a year. That's a $20 bill out of my pocket that I'm gonna throw at the school once a year, and that cop is there. So if we can get a separate taxing district just for the people that pay taxes to Salem Grade School, for $20, you're putting a cop in that school. And then the village is gonna take up the other 3 months. We're doing it for 9 months for $20. Trevor Wilmot is $44 per taxing parcel because they're a smaller district. Riverview is $40. Just for comparison, Paris is $90. Brighton, we all know how small Brighton is. It's $119 per taxing parcel to create $90,000 to put a cop in their school. For further reference, it's $9 at Westosha and $8 at Wilmot High School. That's how much comes out of your pocket each year to pay for this cop. So since I can't get the village just to pay the whole 90,000, we as parents and grandparents need to come up and step up. And in Salem, it's 20 bucks. I'm sorry, it's 18. It's $17.75 to put a cop in that school. That's it. They went to referendum for $2 million and it did not pass. That $2 million was $400 out of all of our pockets for Salem Grade School for the 5,075 taxpayers. They were going to come to me for $400 and they can't find $20 of my $400 to put a cop in that school. Today, they can't find $20 out of my tax bill to put a cop in that school. So I'm hoping that Bill Hopkins and this village board can go back and reach back in history and pull up a taxing district like we used to do for streetlights for safety, to put a cop in a school for safety. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, go on to number 9, Treasurer's Office, discussion and possible action on the following items. 9.1, expenditure report through March 31st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
I don't know what they have to approve it. I think it's just a talking point, right?
Good evening. Not sure if you'll have any questions. I'm going to give you kind of the first time I'm giving you this. So these numbers are for the first quarter of 2025. So put in a comparison to where those numbers were first quarter 2024. And then along with the budget for 2025, and then what percent we're at through the first quarter. So obviously 25% for the first quarter would be on budget. And then each department is subtotaled. And then each fund is totaled as well. So for the general fund, I think it's like page 6, that totals just under 20% for the first quarter spending.
And what was it last year, just for the public to know?
I don't have,
You don't have
that number. But, sorry, I can get that for you.
That'd be good. Thank you. If you can just get the overall percentage for 24 in relation to where we're at.
Okay.
This year. Any other questions? No. All right. Thank you. All right. Number 10, Clerk's Office. Discussion and possible action on the following. 10.1, approval of minutes from April 21st, 2025 Village Board meeting. I did send Sarah a correction to 12.1. And that would be that the vote was 6-1 with trustee Barheit opposing. So I make a motion, well, let me see here. Was that the only one on that one, Sarah? Okay. So I will make a motion to approve the April 21st minutes with that change.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. 10.2, approval of minutes from April 23rd, 2025, Committee of the Whole meeting.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Faber and Brooks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
And 10.3, approval of minutes from April 24th, 25, special village board meeting. I did send a correction on that for number 1, trustee Young was not present to vote, and to replace that with trustee Brooks. And then on number 2, to replace it from being a unanimous vote to a roll call vote, but it was a unanimous roll call vote.
Motion to approve.
My second?
Second.
Oh, can't. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Number 11, Human Resources, discussion and possible action on the following items. 11.1, Public Service Appreciation Week.
I am the HR coordinator here. I started mid-December. I just wanted to say a few things for this week. Public Service Recognition Week was started by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 and is always the first full week of May. I wanted to take the time to recognize and thank everyone that make the village of Salem Lakes go round. As per my job, I have contact with almost everyone that works here. I'm the paperwork lady. I have witnessed how hardworking and dedicated everyone is, which brings to a quote to mind that I've heard of public service is not just a job, it's a calling. These jobs require dedication, passion, and a sense of purpose. Though not every day is perfect and easy, it is important to be thankful for the good and the bad, as both are needed for an experience full of growth, which aligns with the village's goals to maintain and improve the village as a desirable place to live, work, and play. So I just wanted to thank everyone, our trustees, committee members, election workers, fire department, staff from DPW, utility district, village hall, and even any of our volunteers. So thanks everyone for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And from the board, we do recognize that without a staff that works hard for this village, we would not be here, and things would not get done. And they might not always get done when people want or how people want. But I've said before, and I'll say it again, I do believe that everyone has the best interests of the village in mind. And they do work hard. And sometimes working with the public is not easy. I worked here for a while, so I know that firsthand. Sometimes you have to sit there and take it, and it's really difficult. So thank you for all you do. Okay. I think Chief Carr did 12.1 when you did the other one, right?
Yes.
Okay, the fire department update. Okay. So we'll move on to administrator number 13.1, discussion and possible action on the following. Announcement of a $10,000 safety grant award from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities.
Good evening. So this is just an award that we received last week when we were at the League of Municipalities Conference. It was a surprise to us. Our name was drawn out of a hat, literally. So it's a $10,000 award that we can use on training, on staff culture training, morale building, team building. It can also be used for purchasing of safety equipment. We are currently reviewing a potential list of items that could be considered, and when one is we'll bring you the list, but when we come up with which one we think would be the best use of the funds, we will bring it forward and request your permission to move forward. That's it.
Great, that's good news.
Thank you.
All right. 13.2 ATV UTV ordinance to include expanded use on county routes with speed limits at or below 35 miles per hour.
So I'm going to just introduce this briefly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Trustee Gant. So my introduction is as a means of trying to provide better transparency to the public as to what ordinances may be coming or what direction we may be asked to consider from board members. All items are going to be heard twice going forward. So number one is if a board member would like an item to be considered, it's going to come to the entire board for discussion. That way we can better channel our utilization of staff resources as well as legal resources and minimize the expense to the public and to the village. So the first time you're hearing this topic is tonight, and it's on the ATV UTV ordinance, and it will be discussed by Trustee Gant. Trustee Gant is the one that requested a modification to the ordinance, and I'm going to allow him to do the discussion. Thank you.
I just like some open discussion on, there's a Wisconsin ordinance that allows a town, a village, or a city to override a county or a state road. If the speed limit is 35 miles an hour or lower. So what I'm asking, I would like to do is change our existing ordinance from 25 miles an hour to allow county roads and state roads that are listed as 35 miles an hour or under. We've had our previous, our existing ordinance right now is 25. We've had that for a year, and we've had not one violation has been issued on anything. We've had people come in on Highway F, okay, and asking for the speed limit to be reduced over there. And I think if we allow ATVs on it, it would basically slow the traffic down. I've been working with Twin Lakes, Randall, Wheatland, and Twin Lakes has already adopted an ordinance to allow this, as well as Randall. Wheatland, they're kind of one way or the other. Walworth County has all their county roads open for ATVs. The biggest thing with this would be a lot of signage on it. Okay, as far as the state, I'd have to talk to Greg Bull from the county and see how many signs we would have to put up. But I do have a donor that will pay for all signage that would be needed. So it'll be no expense to the village. So that's the plus of it all. So
How many county roads do we have that are 35 mile an hour and under in the village?
there really aren't a lot. I mean, there's part of it on SA, and then I mean, Highway F is all from the village line. That goes all the way into Silver Lake. Some of W is too, but
Some of AH as well.
I think
Some of that.
Some of it.
SA,
Some of it.
the autumn at 35. I mean, every place they would go to from 35 to 45, there'd be a signage put up.
So they would not be allowed on the road when it turns 45.
Correct.
So that means 83 will have it too then. You can go right down the middle of Salem then, right?
Yes.
That's
If
crazy.
we adopt it with the state roads,
Not county. We're just talking county.
county and state.
County and state.
Anything 35 and below.
Yep.
It's already crazy.
Yeah, there is part of it from the state line up to the other side of JF. I know in Salem itself, in town itself is 35.
Do the ATVs or motorcycles have to have any updates, lighting, blinkers? They have,
Headlights, taillights,
so they have to be road ready.
except for direction. Okay,
They don't.
No
have to.
blinkers.
right.
But they all have licenses. They have to,
They have to be licensed.
DNR license.
Okay.
we still have it, so the golf cart has to pay the $15. They get, we get money out of that. We don't get anything.
And this would only be ATVs, not including golf carts, or would they be in
Just
that?
ATVs or UTVs, no golf carts.
Dirt bikes?
Dirt bikes aren't Dirt allowed. bike, it has to be registered with the state. I think,
Oh, okay.
for a license on a dirt bike.
Okay.
And so you're saying there's a state law that allows us to pass an ordinance on roadways that aren't our jurisdiction?
Correct. You know, I'm all for this being in the subdivisions outside the main roads, but when you get on a 35-mile-an-hour road, you gotta dodge around them. As I'm not having any calls, that's because nobody wants to call on them, but they're all over the place. And like I said, in the subdivisions, I'm fine with it, but when you get on a 35-mile-an-hour road, it gets to be tough, especially no blinkers now. It's tough. Like I said, I'm all for in the subdivision, but now you want to get them, you're gonna mix the cars in with the four-wheelers on a 35-mile-an-hour road. That's just
I guess I
bad
would like,
juju waiting to happen.
yeah. I'd like to see a map with it highlighted of what we're gonna add. For us all to kind of see, you know, kind of maybe put in yellow what we already have and then in pink what you'd like to add or something like that.
I do have one that you looked at it, we all looked at it before, but I would just, we're very selective as far as what town road we wrote on. Okay.
Mhm.
Or not town road, what county road we wrote on that were just, they weren't state roads.
So the only other thing I'll say is the first time this came up, we had it on, to be voted on by the public is I'm drawing a blank referendum, but just a,
Advisory.
advisory, thank you, advisory referendum. And I almost feel like I would be in favor of doing that again, because this is a huge change. Especially, you know, I never really thought about 83, or Highway C for that matter, and the amount of traffic that goes down them.
Well, and for some further clarity, I think that's a
Uh,
great idea. But if a road is like 35 going out of, say Wilmot, and then as soon as it kicks up above 35, that's like a stopping point.
Yep.
So they would have to U-turn to go back?
That's what I mean, like, how many people are gonna break the rules and then, you know, does it? So I guess that's where the map would be helpful for me to actually see what you're talking about, wanting to do.
Would we have the ability to put that out there for the public to see that as well?
I don't
We
know.
can put anything out to the public. I mean, just put it up on the website.
That's,
and-
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Because we already have a map already on the village website, ATV, what we can ride now.
And we could show what's proposed.
Yes,
Routes.
I know at the gas station in Salem, I've been there numerous times and had side by sides filling up, and they come down 84th Street past Seabert's, and they get on 83 where it's a 35. So they're going over there to get their fuel anyways,
Yeah.
and that's.
And for clarity, you say ATV, UTV, and I think I know the answer, but for everyone, ATV being like a four-wheeler, standard four-wheeler would also be allowed with this change.
Yep.
If I may?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 points of clarification. The statute does allow you to extend ATV, UTV operation in your community beyond your local roads into the highways. There is a feature in the statute in both county highway and state highway. There is a feature in the statute that speaks to, it says the following: no state trunk highway or connecting highway may be designated unless the DOT approves the designation. So I think within your legislative discretion, you can decide how to expand usage in your community. And upon reaching consensus as to what you'd want to include, then we'd have to review whether that provision is triggered where any of these highways are a quote unquote state trunk highway or connecting highway. The second thing I would just point out is I wasn't here when your referendum was done, but that referendum may have been done just under the wire. The state legislature changed how all communities can do referendums, really curtailed the limit of usage of referendum. The idea now being that you use your referendum solely for fiscal matters. That's the bottom line. So something like putting out an ATV, UTV referendum would probably be outside what you can do in the statute, but there's other ways to vet the idea through the community. Someone mentioned putting it up on the website. You can take votes, you can send out cards, you can obviously talk to your constituents, all that kind of good stuff to get a feel of what you and your community want.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Ron, you'll work on the map.
I'll get a map drawn up.
And then I think we can maybe, once we have that, I mean, I think that maybe you could get it to staff and have them send it to all of us and then also send it to our email list and perhaps even have it at the counter with a little box with a yes, no. Stick it in there. I don't know.
And it would more than likely be an attachment then too, as we do now when we
Yeah.
put it on the agenda.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, 14, closed session, 14.1. Closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub G, for purposes of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or may be involved, specifically concerning contractual rights, remedies, and obligations with the Village of Paddock Lake regarding the parties' agreement for firefighting, fire inspection, and rescue services to be provided by the Village of Salem Lakes to the Village of Paddock Lake.
So moved.
Second.
Hopkins and Faber. Trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Brooks.
Yes.
Trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Faber.
Yes.
Trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
Trustee Gant,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. We're in close. Please turn your mics off. Okay. We had a 14.2 reconvene into open session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 2 for possible additional discussion and or action concerning any matter discussed in closed session. All right, we had a motion by trustee Hopkins, seconded by trustee Barheit. We did a roll call vote. It was unanimous to go into open session. I make a motion to direct staff to send a letter to Paddock Lake winding up the obligations and financials to conclude the fire services agreement.
Second.
Trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Brooks.
Yes.
Trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Faber,
Yes.
trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
Trustee Gant.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion's unanimous. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Bucher and Barheit. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, we're adjourned.